Hello and welcome to our constructed series. This will be our third match of this rlor tournament I've played now a while ago. And again, I'm sorry for not really uploading that much. One thing I noticed recently is that I really don't enjoy editing a lot. It's just something that feels like a chore to me, maybe because I don't really have a good program or because I currently am not really that motivated, to be honest. With not that much new stuff coming to Legends of Runeterra. I still like playing, but making content just feels a little bit repetitive. I've been working a lot on my rulebook and have been enjoying playing the game, but there's just not that much new stuff talking about it, and it's way more relaxing to just be outside and just sit on a chair and play on my phone than to sit on a PC and just record all the time. That's why I kinda missed a few days of uploads, but we will at least continue this and we'll see what the patch notes bring, if it brings new life into the Legends of Runeterra scene. And yeah, I'm still alive, I'm still around. Most of the work I had to do has been finished for now, and we have, after this one, 3 more matches to cover, which will be uploaded during the next few days. And yeah, I'm still around. Thank you all for sticking with me. I basically didn't lose any subscriptions or anything like that, so I really appreciate it that you are okay with me taking my time sometimes. And I'm planning to do a big stream even when the new Power of Champions mode drops, where you mill out all of the encounters, and will continue to do constructed content in some shape or form, especially when the seasonals come around. But right now everybody's just lurking around in Masters and there's not really that much going on. Yeah, but let's move over to this match. We are facing the lineup of Swole Patrol 256. I didn't really know this person before, so no team member or something like that. And they bring Kindred, Viego, Ionia, Jayce, Lux, and Trundle, Tryndamere, Asoul, Targon's Peak. And this is basically the lineup I have been expecting from most people when heading into this tournament. And except for the Kindred Viego, but the other two, Targon's Peak and Jayce Lux, were exactly what I was teching my decks for. Let's take a look at the deck lists. The first one here is Kindred Viego, and this is pretty standard. 3 Kindred, 3 Viego, and only 2 Deny was a little bit surprising to me. Some interesting cards like 1 of Harrowing, 1 of Dawning Shadows, only 2 Vengeance. For me, Vengeance seems like almost strict better than Dawning Shadows. And a bunch of other 1-offs, Darkwater Scourge, Invasive Hydravine, and Godwillow Seedling. In general, this deck tries to build up a big Viego with the Hydravine, and then eventually Atrocity it for the win, or just play a Deny, for example, and other removal spells. So pretty standard control list, and a bunch of interesting one-offs in it. Next deck was Jayce Lux. Basically also how I expected this deck to be built. We see Jayce and Lux being the 2 main champions who care about the 6-cost spells. Forge of Tomorrow, just the standard 3-drop. Mageseek Investigator, I'm happy that this card sees some play. Vanguard Sergeant and Aloof Travelers, just decent. And Scyther, very interesting inclusion, not necessarily the one I would have gone for, but it makes sense. 4 mana 6/6 is not the worst, and 3 Albus Pharaohs for the spells. 1 Aftershock for Banditry, most likely. Concerted Strike. And then a bunch of other 6-cost spells, most notably Hextech Anomaly, so just fully random what you can get from this one. And yeah, pretty solid list. Just tries to be a mid-range deck that plays these big 6-cost spells. And lastly, we have the Targon's Peak deck. 3 Trundle, 1 Tryndamere, 2 Aurelion Soul. And of course, the goal is to bring out the landmark Targon's Peak, then cast a Feel the Rush, Aurelion Soul, or Infinite Mindsplitter for 0 mana. I don't even see a It Status is in there. The other one, the She Who Wanders, is not in there, interestingly enough. We see some ramp cards, Whirling Stones, Catalyst of Aeons, some healing cards, Revitalizing Roar, Kindly Tavern Keeper, Blinded Mystic, Babylon Björk, and funnily enough 2 Ground Slams, 1 Harsh Winds, 2 Sunbursts, and also a pretty solid list. For our matchups, I decided to ban the Targus Peak deck because I figured that the Targus Peak deck can high roll us the most. However, the Kindred Viego is just a weird control list that we should have easy time against because they can't answer our battle tree, they can't answer our big spell shield elusives, and we have infinite value in our other deck. Same with Jayce Lux, they don't have any good answers. And in retrospect, I could also see banning Kindred Viego. I don't think it makes that big of a difference because our decks are basically favored against every of their decks in the end. Let's jump into the first fight. This was my opening hand. This was versus Kindred Viego, and I was playing my attached deck, the one with the Destiny's Call. And this is the opening hand. If you want, you can pause the video and think about what you would mulligan here. I decided to mulligan almost everything. Minimorph can be useful versus Viego if he gets too big, but that will be multiple turns in the future. We don't really need Friendship yet. We don't really need Star Shaping at all. Not an aggressive deck. So I just wanted to look for my combo pieces, Destiny's Call and Rainbow Fish to put onto my Stellar Call. Let's jump right again into turn 3 of the game because we can't play any cards before turn 3 in this mode. Cameron Soldier gets played and we just play our Gleaming Lantern and attack with the 1/1 Ephemeral. I don't really care about that. They don't really try to rush us down that much. Of course, it can be an atrocity win condition. However, that is quite far in the future and I want to keep my 3/3 healthy. Then we just continue playing on Kirk, continue searching for our combo pieces with the Aloof Travelers, discard Ruination. That's of course good to see. And we see the Chronicle of Ruin combo, basically resummoning the Cameron to give another +1/+1 to all the mists everywhere and just grow this Viego. And we already have a good answer in our hand with the Sunburst, and there is Viego. So I immediately go for the Sunburst. They don't have any deny mana, and in this format there's no other 3-cost spell. And I was very happy at this point. We dealt with one of their big Wincons and can now proceed with our own Wincon if we find any of our attached units. I'm thinking here if I want to go for the Destiny's Call but decide to just play out the Sparklefly instead. Out comes another Viego. And we attach to the Sparklefly. For a second Viego is quite unfortunate. We didn't draw another Sunburst, so now they just have the big win condition. And we just have to try and make something work. 4 mana here. Can't really do anything, so we just go back in with our Sparklefly. Try to level up Yuumi maybe. Maybe it was better to play the Destiny's Call on Yuumi, but I'm not sure about that. We do another Sunburst, which is quite fortunate. However, we can't just run it out. We have to wait until they don't have deny open. Decide to go for the block. This means they get the Ephemeral guy, the Mist, because the unit dies, and Viego proceeds to level up a little bit. But Sunburst silences, so we can still kill them with that. I just go for the open pass. I think I'm very happy if they pass back, because we have a scaling Yuumi that gives our units +1/+1 at round start. And sure, Viego is also a threat, but we can't just play out the thing. And now they tap under and don't have deny anymore, so we can safely go for the Sunburst now. 2 Viegos down. I was feeling quite confident at this point. We can outrace a Hydra Vine with our elusives and just heal it up with our big uninteractive Sparklefly. We have a ton of protection spells and now find a double striker, which we can load up with our Destiny's Call and make very big. I decided to just go for the open attack here to work for the Yuumi level up. They will have to try and answer my Sparklefly at some point. And here they go with a concussive palm. And I was honestly fine with that at this point. It is not a vengeance, it is not a stun, and I only have 2 space shields in my hand. I don't just want to waste them on some random stuff, on any threat of dying, and I decide to just go for an Aloof Travelers, just dig deep into my deck, and we discard a Rekindler. Very good to see that, because otherwise I would have brought back Viego. And a little bit of a pause here. We play out our Stellar Corn. And there comes the third Viego. So I give them a Cupcake Garen, because having 3 of the win cons, or 3 Viegos in the top 10 cards is a very big high roll. And I don't know if it's like the top 10 or top 15 cards, so it's like possible, but still very, very frustrating. We also drew 2 Sunbursts, but there's just not that much we can do in this spot. Now we have to block everything and still probably die to an Atrocity. And yeah, third Viego was just too much for us to handle. We didn't draw our like Sparklefly, not Sparklefly, the Rainbow Fish, to actually win the game. So yeah, kind of rough. I was thinking here about how we can block to survive, but it's really hard to find a good solution for this turn. And I kinda was a little bit tilted at this point and kinda just put this in front of the one guy. It could have of course killed the Hydra Vine, which would have been much better than blocking the 7/7 here. And this is just something that shouldn't get to you when you are playing, and especially playing a tournament where you do these obvious mistakes just because you're annoyed by your opponent's draws or stuff like that. We would have lost our Sparklefly anyways, and if you don't know, if Viego tries to steal a unit that has attachment on it, the attached unit actually goes back to the hand before the unit gets stolen. However, this is just over. I just go for my Destiny's Call. What point is there to hold anything up? They will just kill me anyways. They don't immediately have Atrocity, they play out Kindred. But yeah, it's just the third Viego was too much here. And we don't have any elusives, we don't have any ways to push in damage. So this game is unfortunately just lost. I think I played on for a few turns just for, I don't know, educational value. And because I have like an infinite lifesteal unit. So we just suit up our guy as make it a 11-12 with double attack. And this is the power of the deck, however, it is not enough against infinite shadows from Viego. And you will see, I don't know if I concede before that, but probably not. This actually doesn't really do that much. We break the space in our first double attack and then we just trade. And another mist comes out. But I think I just played out to see what happens with Viego. At this point, you could also just jump into the next game. Especially now we lose our guy to Kindred, and this is definitely game, and I tap it out. So we have lost our first game in this match, and from this point I decided to just bring back my good deck. We saw before that I wasn't very happy with how my TF Karma deck turned out, just too clunky, and I decided to just get my free win first with the Yuumi deck and then take on the Jayce and Lux afterwards. In this matchup, they don't have any way to remove our attached units except for like Hextech Anomaly shenanigans if they roll into like a Buried in Ice, for example. But in general, we can just uninteractively kill them, while they just can't really do anything to us. They can try to rush us down with mid-range stuff, but once you have a 10/10 lifesteal elusive on board, you don't really get rushed down by anything. For Mulligan, we see here that is our opening hand. If you want, you can pause and think what you would keep here. I decided to only mulligan the Aloof Travelers. They have a bunch of big spells anyways. And we have our full combo. We have Yuumi, we have a Rainbow Fish, and Destiny's Call, so we can just go ham on Yuumi and make her the big elusive guy this turn, or this game. And I just decided to keep them all. Round 3, we draw a Rainbow Fish, and I decided to run the Sparklefly over Yuumi, just because Yuumi is like a little bit more flexible, and Sparklefly has elusive, so it can attack through any of the 3/3s or 3/4s the opponent is playing. We draw a Sunburst, very valuable against like a Jayce, for example, and out comes Aloof Travelers, discarding my Destiny's Call, which is very unfortunate. And to be honest, I didn't really see that they had, like, of course you can see it with the Decklist, but I didn't look that much. Very good inclusion here, so we now have to like win on a normal way. And I decided to just go for the Yuumi attach, because that uses my mana most efficiently. We don't really have any good Taric plans yet, and they still can't really attack into us. Remember, there are no 2-cost spells, no 3-cost spells, so no like Sharp Sight, Mystic Shot, anything like that. We play Taric, and this turn we can go for the Spell Shield and pass it on. That's why I included this Taric in the first place. It's just a double cast on the Spell Shield here. And now we have already one unit that is very hard for them to deal with. 5/6 Spell Shield, tough, elusive, with a Yuumi attached to it. This is just exactly why I built this deck. Very uninteractive, very hard to deal with for any normal deck. And the lifesteal, of course, means they will never outrace us. Even if they discard our Destiny's Call, we will just be as uninteractive as possible. Here comes a 4 Demacia, and we don't really care about that, because we just have a 6/7 lifesteal. Even if it hit us for a little bit, we just play a Rainbow Fish on our Taric so that it survives, and have basically lethal on elusives next turn with our Taric. Just that double block again. There are no spells that cost less than 4, so no combat tricks, no anything. And Yuumi will give us +1/+1, and I think Taric will level up here if we play our barrier on it. So that will be the game. It's exactly what we do. We have Spell already, so let's just play the barrier, and this will level up Taric. And now we have exactly 14 damage, very hard to interact with. Spell Shield, barrier, elusive. What are you really supposed to do against that? And that's going to be game. And we tie it up 1-1. Next match, our final match, will be Lux versus Jayce. Lux and Jayce versus Karma and Twisted Fate. And in this one we have infinite value, but we mustn't die in the early game. So if we can survive, maybe high roll some fancy spells, then we will definitely win the long game against the deck. And that was my premise that I went into. Here's my opening hand. What would you keep? What would you mulligan? I decided to just mulligan my Ship Recorder. Having a play on turn 3 is very important, just to have some blocker and not just waste mana. And Sepsrafin, my Great Mother, is just the combo we have in our deck. Round 3 comes around, and we start with the Shadow Assassin, drawing us Twisted Fate. The opponent has the Vanguard Sergeant again. They have a lot of 3-drops, so it's just expected to have one. And we get our first blood, our first elusive damage in. And are on our way. Game plan, of course, my Great Mother Sepsrafin. We highlight her already. Opponent's game plan is kill us very fast. We can take 3 damage once. And just because against these mid-range decks, you always have to see they have a 4 Demacia, so we want to preserve your blockers. We don't want just randomly get 5,000 units on the board. So we will be able to block with them later. And I don't know, I'm a little bit toxic here. I'm just going to go for the 3-cost spell. And we hit a Reinforcements, which is of course pretty good on this spot. Just so much board presence. Out comes a Shock Blast, which we can promptly deny. And that's why we run triple deny in 2 of our decks, I think. Yeah, deny is just very good against these Jayce decks. And get elusive damage in. Very, very powerful stuff happening here. And look at this, our own 4 Demacia. Just what we ordered. We can skip block here. They can't, if you skip block, they can't play any other spells, like a back-to-back, for example. That's just not how this game works. If you don't block, they don't get to act again. We just go for the draw here, and for the Aloof Travelers, discarding our sunk cost doesn't matter, because we have a gigantic board now, and can go for the 3 cost for Demacia, which will be 15 elusive damage, funnily enough. And yeah, my Great Mother high rolling as usual. Was it fun to play? Yes. Was it fun to play against? Probably not. Did they deserve this win? I don't really know. Like, they high rolled me in the first game with triple Viego. I high rolled them in the last game, so it kinda evens out. And that meant I was 2-1 on the whole tournament. I don't have an answer, and we just attack with all. I don't even know what would be an answer at this point. But yeah, elusives are just the bane of Legends of Runeterra. So yeah, GG. And we win this one 2-1. The next 2 days I will continue posting the other last 3 games in this series. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the future. Goodbye.